Hello, Thomas. How are you?
Hi, Jenny. Oh, I'm looking forward to this week. What an energy shift we have coming up, right?
Yes, I'm very excited and welcome back, everyone. This is Moon to Sun. We're going to be looking at the week of June 10th to the 16th, and I hope everyone's doing okay after all those squares to Saturn that we had.
We're all still here. We're back.
Very intense Gemini new moon is kind of kicking off this next lunation cycle. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the moon this week than we normally do, because I think that she's got some good support for us to help us get through because we do have some challenging energies this week.
Yes, we do. All right. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yes. So if you want to pull up the chart, we'll take a look. Where we're starting from is already a rough point. So Sunday evening, I know. I gotta break the truth, as much as I can here. And unfortunately, we are coming off some difficult energies. So
That sets the week right there. There
right
you
off
go.
the bat, yeah,
See
right off.
y'all next week.
Yeah, everyone, remember to take lots of naps this week if you can fit them in.
Yeah.
This is the week to do it. So right off the bat, Sunday evening, we have a very intense energy coming through. We have a moon in Leo, which I personally normally would really enjoy because my own natal moon is in Leo. However, this moon in Leo is going to immediately oppose Pluto. And in doing so, she's also going to be in a square to Mars, who is also moving into a square with Pluto. And this is an aspect we call a T-square because we have three planets in very tense aspects to one another. So this right off the bat makes things a little tricky starting off the week. And we don't have any big energies on Monday. So I'm going to offer some guidance here, some hopefully helpful advice because
Survival tips, right?
survival tips, exactly. Because we do have one more planet that's going to be moving into that square I talked about, Saturn. So as everyone remembers, there's a Gemini new moon that happened last Thursday, and we had Venus, the moon, and obviously the sun, and then we had Mercury moving through around the same time at the 16th degree point. And this meant that all of these planets then, right after, we're moving into squares one by one with Saturn and Pisces, and Mercury is going to be the last one to do that this week. And that's not happening until, I think, Wednesday. So anyway, the first thing I want to say is that because these energies are still working with us at the beginning of this week, it's really good to kind of take in what the homework assignment is that Saturn's giving us. And in Pisces, the Saturn, the homework assignment is really kind of spiritual, right? There's a lot of spiritual energy in Pisces, a lot of imaginative energy in Pisces. But Saturn is still, he's the teacher. He's the one who's giving you the job to do. And so he's not always considered to be a friendly guy, but he is actually trying to help us out, I think. And one homework assignment that I came up with that I thought really would help support everyone this week is to really try and find a way to fit in just 3 minutes in your day, if you can, when you wake up in the morning, or as soon as you can get 3 minutes alone to yourself if you have a family. Just take 3 minutes, sit down in a place that you feel comfortable, you feel safe, and do the following. Get comfortable, get a pen and paper, write down just a single word or even a sentence of how you feel, just anything that comes to mind. Set a timer on your phone for 3 minutes, no more, no less, and then close your eyes, hold your hand over your heart or the mudra if you're a yogi, and lay down, close your eyes and get comfortable and concentrate really hard as you can on one of the three things, compassion. You can think about a particular person that you care about, could be your partner, could be your kid, your mother, your father, anyone, just somebody who summons a sense of compassion and care that makes you feel, a loving space. Next thing, if that's not something that comes so easily for you right now, think about something that makes you feel grateful, something that you appreciate in your immediate world. Could be, you have a really comfortable bed to sleep in at night. You can think about that. If you can think about that for 3 minutes, think about that. Forgiveness. This is a trickier one. This is going to be a little bit harder. This is more like advanced level. But if there's something that you've done recently that you kind of not let yourself off the hook for, something you maybe said that was kind of stupid or mean, take a minute and just let it go. Forgive yourself. Remember that it's in the past. You can't change it now, but it's okay. You're human. We all make mistakes, and let it go. And I'm saying all this because Tuesday, the next day, that's when we have the heavy hitters. The Mars in Taurus just moved into Taurus, is going to square Pluto in Aquarius. And that's happening in the morning. So take a deep breath. It's going to be a wild ride. These two energies coming together is difficult because we have a Mars that's been in go, go, go mode in Aries, and now he's moving into Taurus. He wants rhythm. He wants routine. He wants things to be stable. He wants to know, exactly how things are going to go and play out. And Pluto is saying, you need to overhaul your entire system of how you do your day to day, so these two energies coming together, because Pluto is about innovation. He's about new ideas, new systems, but he's also moving retrograde right now. So you may be tempted. This energy may show itself by feeling like you need to fall back into an old pattern or an old routine because it provides a sense of comfort. It's familiar. There's been a lot of new information coming in really hot and fast with all those Gemini energies. And, you might have been feeling a little bit of anxiety, and this may be catching up to you right now. And you may be asking for something that was a way that you maybe in the past found comfort, but it's something that maybe isn't so healthy for you anymore, or maybe it's just not totally aligned with where you're headed or where you want to be heading. But, if you fall into this, taking a beat, first of all, and remembering that this energy is coming through, and that's probably why you're feeling this way. And try not to give into it, and try not to give into the anxiety. And remember your homework assignment. It's very important. And also another way of working with this energy in a way that's positive and helpful. I call it setting yourself up for success. And you can do this in a lot of different ways. And there's a lot of little ways throughout the day that you can do this for yourself, where you're thinking about, is this making future Jenny's life more difficult or easier? And if you can find any which way, any little way to make your life just a little bit easier for future you, do those things. Some of the things I do for myself, for instance, if I know I'm going to have a stressful week, a little treat I give myself, I set my automatic timer on my coffee maker the night before so that it goes off right before my alarm clock goes off. So by the time I get up out of bed, I have a hot cup of coffee waiting for me, And so these are little things you can do just to make your life that much more pleasant and easier, especially in the morning when you're still getting up and getting yourself together. So anyway, this energy is going to be with us for a lot of the week. And so that's why I say start doing things early on as possible. Sunday night, if you can, try to think of little ways that you can set yourself up for success throughout the week. So then that takes us to Wednesday. And this is when we have Mercury and Gemini moving into that square with Saturn. So these are energies we've already been feeling since that new moon in Gemini last week, when we had the moon and the sun and Venus all squaring Saturn over the weekend. So this energy is carrying through when Mercury again now squares Saturn. And fortunately, we have a little bit of support coming through from the moon, which is also in an earth sign right now, joining up with Mars and Taurus. So the moon is going to be in Virgo, and it's going to trine Mars and Taurus early in the morning, around the same time that Mercury is moving into that square with Saturn. And for me, this looks like, Virgo likes to have lists, and so does Mercury and Gemini. So making yourself a little to-do list, at the beginning of the day, so that you can move through the day and cross them off as you finish things, will feel really good. Do this for yourself if you can, because I think that it will help create a little bit of order and a little bit of a relief. Every time that you can cross something off your list, you give yourself a little bit more of a boost and momentum to do the next thing on the list. And I think that these energies will be supported by that kind of activity. And I think also it'll help relieve some stress for yourself, which I still coming through probably because of the other difficult aspects that are happening throughout the week. Okay, and then that takes us to our next big aspect for the week, which is a big deal, is we've got Mercury moving into the heart of the sun. And this is called a cazimi. And this is happening in the afternoon if you're in Eastern time. Sorry, Thomas. I don't do math.
The caboose of the world out here.
But again, this is still tricky because Mercury is coming off that square from Saturn still. So those energies are still coming through. But this is a little bit of a supportive energy because that fatigue or that mental fog that we've been having, it might clear a little bit because Mercury in the heart of the sun is a reminder to all of us that getting too caught up in all of the new information that we're trying to process can be really hard with our feeble human brains, because we forget that your entire body is capable of taking in and processing information. It's not just your mind. And the way that we can do this, we can digest new information without it just becoming overwhelming mentally, is by finding a way to process it through the entire body. If you can do some kind of yoga, that's great. But also that system, that homework assignment I talked about earlier, is another great way to kind of digest information through the body so that you can create a heart-mind coherence. This is really important because that heart-mind coherence is going to provide that kind of stability and the ease to process new information, to not get overwhelmed, to not get fatigued, and not to get too rigid in your thinking or being too caught up in expectations, because those are where the anxieties are coming from, right? When we try to anticipate how something might work out, or we try to create images in our mind of how we want it to work out, or even worst case scenarios, how we don't want it to work out, but we're preparing for these things that one way or another, they haven't happened yet, they may never happen. And by doing that, we're not being present and we're not being in our bodies. So that heart-mind coherence that I'm talking about really just comes from when you find, take a beat, stop what you're doing, and take a few deep breaths if that's going to help you. Or if you feel like you have so many things you need to get done, make that list we talked about, write it down, and then once you start, every time you finish something, cross it off and let it go. Once it's done, once you put something down, you've crossed it off your list, let it go. If you find yourself thinking, oh gosh, what if I didn't do it right, or you might have to go back and redo something, that's fine, but think about it when it happens. Don't worry about it until it's a problem. In the meantime, just keep going, and try not to look ahead or behind. Just stay present. And this will support a flow state. And that, again, is that heart-mind coherence, where you just kind of trust that things are going to, go the way that they are meant to. And that if there is a problem down the line, you'll figure it out when you get there, cross that bridge when you get there. Okay. So that Mercury Cazimi, again, is happening in the afternoon. And then later on in the day, we get a nice supportive aspect again from the moon. As the moon moves into Libra, it's going to trine Pluto. Pluto sounds scary, but it's a trine. So this is an easier aspect. This is a flowing aspect, and this is happening in the evening. So I feel like this to me reads as if you've been doing your homework and you've been trying not to get too overwhelmed. You've been making your lists. You've been doing your homework assignments. Even allowing yourself to take rests when you need to, and not letting old fears cause you to start repeating old patterns. Instead, this energy to me, this lunar support, is saying, when you have these moments, are you taking the time to really ask yourself questions like, well, what is causing me to have this feeling? What is triggering it? And you think about what you're doing at the time that these feelings start to come up. And if you can take the time to write it down, journal it, or just at least give it some consciousness, think about it, ask those questions, take a step back and observe, why am I feeling this way? What is causing it? And just acknowledge that it's there. But, Pluto is always going to tell us that if we try to push something down or ignore it, it's going to come back bigger and stronger and uglier later. So let these things, as they come up, acknowledge them, even if it doesn't feel so convenient at the time.
Good advice. Yeah.
Let's see. So this next aspect actually isn't coming through until next week, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit because I think that we're going to start feeling it coming through as early as Sunday. And that's when Mercury and Venus are both now in the final degree of Gemini, which means that they're going to be in a square later that evening. And I mean around midnight with Neptune at that last degree of Pisces. And then they're going to conjoin later on as they both move into Cancer. And this is going to create an entirely new energy signature in the chart, and we'll talk about it in depth, of course, as we move into that week. But just want to bring it up because I think that this is an important theme that is also carried through earlier in the week. And you're getting, the forecast, right? So I want to make sure you're equipped and prepared with future knowledge so that you can navigate this week accordingly. And with Neptune, it's about, this aspect to me is about how we create our own realities through how we process them. We vote for our reality with our attention, and whatever you're giving your attention to on a day-to-day basis, it adds up. You're processing all of that, whether you realize it or not. It's all moving through you. It's all going through your body. And when you're feeling stressed out and when you're feeling, anxieties, it's because you're giving attention to those fears that are causing them. And if you can just find a way to interrupt those thought processes and turn your attention to something like peace, compassion, forgiveness, kindness, things that create a sense of mental ease for you, as much as you can, allow yourself to refocus on those things. Because when you try to do things from a place of anxiety, you'll find that you often don't really nail it, right? Like, your energies are frenetic and you aren't fully focused or engaged or present in something. It shows, and it shows up in the, in the product of whatever it is you're working on, whether if it's a relationship, it'll show up in the relationship. If it's your job and you're doing something and you're not totally invested mentally, it's going to probably not turn out very good. And you might have to go back and redo it as a consequence. So staying in a state of mind that is conducive and to protect productivity means, telling yourself to take a beat and relax and take a deep breath, and regroup. So again, with this aspect to Neptune, to me, when we get mental fog, and that can also be a symptom of aspects to Neptune, just give yourself time, give yourself space to just relax and breathe into it. And as much as you can, try and to not freak out.
It's going to be quite a week, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really want to, I had to break it easy, but
I made some notes here. So what I wrote down was your 3 first points of compassion, gratitude, and forgiveness. And you don't know this, but over about the last 48 to 72 hours, now I am carrying my journal with me everywhere. A whole new load of information came in. I started writing a book. It was like all this stuff just happened all of a sudden, and it's all around this same theme, also around manifesting and creating, but so much more.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then tied closely in with that, you mentioned coherence. And that's like if you guys are familiar with the heart math people, they came up with this whole concept of coherence, and they have tools that teach it and measure it and all of this. But basically what it is, it's just very slow, rhythmic breathing. So all of their apps, basically it's just like a long, slow inhale. See if you can see my hand here. Long, slow in. Let's do it this way. Long, slow inhale.
Yeah, like a 5-second in, 5-second out.
Long, slow exhale. And that gets you in coherence, just that right there. And then sitting calmly while you're doing it. Yep. And that's where the heart, basically, the distance in between the beats is the same every time. When you're out of coherence, that distance in between the beats is variable. That's heart rate variability. That's what that is. So that's awesome. And wow. And then the other thing I thought, maybe we could do this too with your card, is incorporate just releasing our agendas for this week would be a really good thing for us to do as we wrap this video up, to just get in a space where all of a sudden you approach the week with empty hands. Just release. I mean, get your stuff done, sure, but I'm just saying, don't hold on to driving an agenda this week.
So the tarot card that I picked this week that I thought would be most helpful and representative of these energies we've been talking about is the first Ace of Swords.
Oh, it's
Now,
upside down.
yes, that is correct. It is upside down. And I picked the upside down, the reversed version of this card for a reason, because I think that it kind of expresses some of the frustrations and, again, that kind of mental fatigue that we've been talking about that is coming through because of, well, number of things happening in the chart right now. But I think it has an important message that will help us get through. And again, I'm going to read a little excerpt from Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom. So I want to read a little bit about what she describes as the card itself before we talk about what it means when it's reversed. She says, many people maintain that our emotions express the real us, that emotional reactions alone will lead us to the truth. Often, however, emotions are exaggerated, egotistic, or self-indulgent. But neither will intellect alone bring real awareness. Both truth and awareness must come from a deeper level of spiritual values and experience. And so the hand comes from the clouds, leading us to spirit. Again, I'll show you the card so you can see there's a hand coming out of the clouds there. And what she says about the reversed version of the card, what it means when it's reversed. She says, in confusing, emotional, or oppressive situations, the mind can pierce the fog and not give way to clear understanding of the real facts. On another level, the card signifies simply emotional force, both love and hate in extreme forms. When reversed, the grip fails, bringing illusion, confused ideas and feelings, overpowering emotions. Problems become exaggerated. Ace of Swords reversed tells us to take hold of ourselves and try and find a balanced sense of reality. So that, I think, is what we all need to do this week.
Balanced sense of reality.
Yes.
Sounds a lot of Libra moon to me.
Yeah,
thank goodness the moon crossed through there. So that's good. All right. Wow. That was great, Jenny. Thank you. And so well done and so clear of both the challenge side and the positive side.
I try to make it balanced.
That's right. Keep it honest and keep it on the high timeline side.
That's right.
I hope you have a wonderful week.
Yes. Thank you, Thomas. This has been wonderful as always.
We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Be careful out there. Breathe. Coherence. Om.